This video isn't about me. No, this video is about other Pathfinder creators on YouTube. No, there's no gigantic ones, unfortunately. You're not gonna find a Markiplier of Pathfinder 2e, but what you will find if you start digging through the YouTube algorithm, nay, past the YouTube algorithm, you will find a bunch of high-quality creators putting out great content that do not get as many views as they deserve. Howdy. My name is Nonat, and a few weeks ago on Nonat November over on my Twitch channel, we spent an entire day reviewing as many Pathfinder content creators as I could get my hands on. And honestly, I was blown away by how incredible some of these channels were and how few views they were actually getting at the end of the day. So we watched about 5 to 10 minutes of each of their content. I gave some critical analysis from someone who has been doing this professionally for 5 years, and hopefully got some extra eyes on those channels, and that's what you're about to watch right now in an edited down, condensed version. Here in this video, I'm going to be reviewing 4 different Pathfinder 2e creators that it's unfortunately likely you haven't heard of before. We watch some content, I give some advice on how to improve it, and overall, we get you, the viewer, right here today to go over, give them some love, subscribe to the channel, and let them know what you think as well. Pathfinder is an incredibly small niche here on YouTube. That is not a secret to anybody. So it's really helpful when this small pool of viewers we have can be sent around to help raise all ships, as it were. Go check out all the links in the description to all 4 people we talk about here in this video. Go give them a watch, check out some of their content. Hopefully it vibes with you, and you might just find a new favorite creator. But before we get into it, I do want to say that this Tuesday, the 18th of March 2025, is May Day 2. If you were around last month, we did May Day, which is an entire day dedicated to making your Pathfinder characters come to life. My roommate May, aka Hexbenoy, is an incredibly talented artist, and last time we had every single slot filled for the entirety of May Day, creating such amazing freaks of nature as these. And also some just damn cool characters like these. In the description, there's a link to a Google form where you can go fill that out and donate $40 to the stream to get both a completely custom commission by May in the style shown here, as well as a ready-to-play level 1 character sheet. So even if you've never played this character in Pathfinder before, or even ever plan to, you can have it at the ready, as well as completely custom artwork of your character. There's only about 30 slots total, so if you want to get in on this, fill in the form at the top of the description to get your place in line. We're looking forward to it. It's all going to be live streamed all day this coming Tuesday, the 18th, from noon Eastern time to midnight Eastern time, give or take. So come extend the timer on Nonat November and get your own artwork commissioned. It's going to be a blast. Also, there's going to be media share involved, so my chat's going to drive me slowly crazy over the course of 12 hours. I fucking apologize, Mario! Get your brother off my ass, okay? But what else is new? Enjoy the video. But what we are doing is watching 12 different Pathfinder content creators. Believe it or not, I have never taken the time to watch a bunch of Pathfinder content. I'm curious what we're going to discover here. We're going to discover a lot of things. At the very least, we're going to show off 12 different Pathfinder content creators that I've never really watched before. Now, obviously, we're not going to watch all of these videos. We're going to watch maybe 5 to 10 minutes of each one, but there will be links in the description to all of the channels I watch here today. I will preface this whole video. I am going to be critical. Not like an asshole. I'm not going to belittle mistakes, but I am going to say what I think about these videos. I am going to try my best not to pull punches because I think that's very important. I think it's important to talk about how, hey, here's the good parts, here's what can be improved, at least from my perspective, not in a holier than thou way. I know that I would personally want people to pick my shit apart to tell me what I need to improve on. So let's get started with Mythkeeper.
Hi there, I'm the Mythkeeper. Welcome back to my channel, the best place on the internet for Pathfinder lore and history. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe, and if there's anything you'd like to know about in particular, let me know in the comments below, as I do read all the comments.
Alright, I promise I'm not going to do this every 2 minutes, but I think the intro could have been a little bit shorter, and rather than having the abrupt jump cut, I think a fade could add a lot to this. or a fade right at the end of the intro going into his introduction would have been a very smooth entry rather than sort of the abrupt cut. I'm not going to be here for editing, and I'm not going to comment on the editing every time. I promise. I just wanted to say it because I think it's really important.
This week we're going back to Tianxia. I'm doing a region deep dive on a region that I'm calling the Eastern Successor States. A good place to go after my region deep dive of Holomog, which is kind of similar to it, located closer to the Inner Sea. Anyway,
already, he is so well spoken. To cover all of that start to finish with like 2 uhs, already phenomenal delivery. I'm curious to see how it goes forward, because like if he can keep that pace and that just crisp delivery of information, that's fantastic.
In my last region deep dive, I took a look at Holomog, the nation bordering the Inner Sea with the highest population of Nephilim of any in the region. This week, instead, I take a look at Tianjing, as well as 2 other unique nations from the Eastern Successor States in Tianxia. These 3 Eastern nations on mainland Tianxia form 3 different, unique, and highly recognizable cultures.
So already an issue I have, and this is just my personal lack of attention span, nothing happening on screen is hard. At the very least, I think I would appreciate him being in the corner talking, if not center frame. I think having someone, you showed us that you're on screen at the beginning. I think having you on screen for more of it would be nice. I think you have a very, very great persona, is lack of a better term. Not even facade is also not a good term, but you know what I mean? Presentation. Your presentation was very neat at the beginning, and having that over the video would have been really nice to attach to our narrator.
With that broad summary out of the way, let's take a closer look at the history of the Eastern Successor States. I'm going to move through my history section fairly quickly this time. A very robust look at overall Tianxia history is provided in my Tianxia Overview Guide.
There you
and
go.
A more detailed regional history.
Yeah, plug that past content. Let's go. You get it. Hell yeah.
With which these Eastern Successor States share a lot of common history. We begin in the Age of Monsters, where in the lands of modern-day Quanlai...
Ooh, that's nice editing. That's really nice.
Powerful magical shape-shifting monsters known as the Yaoguai.
So that's what's hard about this presentation style. Is it's very difficult to keep people involved, and this is where I think just having a face in the corner would go a long ways. Obviously, this makes it a lot harder to record, because then you can't just read your script off into the microphone. You have to be animated and there and performing, which increases recording time a lot. The problem is, like this editing is beautiful. Segmenting off and then tinting it with the domain, incredible. That is exactly what you should be able to do with something like this. This looks like a fantastic history lesson. The hard part is just how little is happening.
Were not the only creatures to threaten the ancient world. In the region now known as Tianjing,
I mean, this is already way better.
And eventually the Age of Dragons and the Age of Ashes came to pass in Tianxia. Over time, the Celestials observed the growth...
So I think I get the gist of this content, because I'm guessing it's probably the same the whole way through.
The national anthem similarly reflects Linvar's unique identity, sung in either Taldan or Tien.
So yeah, I'm enjoying the general, again, like chat's saying, it's fantastic background noise. I think it could be foreground noise, for lack of a better term, with like, if there was a little more going on, but the hard part is how much can you do? Because I've run into this problem too in the past. There's a reason I use my camera on all of my videos, because when you're talking about a tabletop pen and paper game, it's not like you can play B-roll footage of a video game in the background. You know, you can't throw Subway Surfers in the corner. You know, when someone's talking about World of Warcraft lore, they can have like just footage from the game throughout the entire video, which is enough to look at rather than just a map. Which, don't get me wrong, I respect all of the effort put into segmenting off this map, adding your own labels as you discuss the history. I think that is phenomenal, and that effort should not go unsung. The hard part is just finding that way to make it more visibly engaging, especially at the beginning. Here's the thing. If you can wrap me in the first 3 minutes, I don't care if it slows down from there. You know, at that point, I'm invested. The problem is, especially early on in this explanation of the Eastern states, is there's just not much happening on stream.
With a powerful magical shape-shifting monster.
But if you can get in there, probably, like, again, camera, maybe to use your face, or get creative in some way to make the content a little bit more engaging, I think you could have something really special here. A little bit more of a setup and an introduction to what's going on. Use that pretty face of yours to its fullest, give people someone to attach to before you jump into it, I think you could have something fantastic. The intro is his biggest weakness. He needs a proper hook, but once you start the actual lore, it shines. I agree. Yeah. I think he needs a hook in, maybe vaguely talk about some big events that happened without spoiling how it got there. You know, everything from demonic invasions to multicultural, blah, 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 blah. I think there'll be a lot of ways to push this content to the next level. Fantastic. All right, Swing Ripper. All right, Swing Ripper. Let's see. I'm curious about when classes go bad. What does this mean?
You know why you clicked on this video.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, Swing Ripper. Yeah, I do know why I clicked on it, because that's really good clickbait to me. And again, clickbait is not a negative statement. Clickbait is only negative if you don't deliver on the bait. What makes a class bad, Swing Ripper?
You wanted to see me tear apart classes that I think are bad.
All right.
But I don't think that many classes are bad. In fact, I think that no class currently released for Pathfinder 2e can be considered bad. I think in order to call something truly bad, you need to have a bit more oomph behind that.
Okay, so very good delivered intro so far. Very well articulated. I'm covering Swing's face with chat. I'm sorry, chat, I'm getting rid of you. I think there could be a little bit more action, whether it's just zoom-ins on your face at certain points. A zoom can do a lot. I mean, you know I overuse my zooms. That's sort of my classic style, because I have so much of like 2012 YouTube ingrained into my bloodline. But I think a little bit more action on stream, and he'd have a great entry here. A great beginning. Another big thing, and this is not something that everyone can do, so I'm not docking a whole lot of points, but it does feel a little disconnecting when he's reading off the script directly. And yeah, I can tell, you know, you want that long, uninterrupted intro, which is very hard to do. It's not easy. Hell, that's why I usually improv my intros, because the idea of trying to memorize a script and then deliver it is kind of obnoxious. There's a really big difference between connecting with your audience through direct camera eye contact versus reading something off of a script over here. And he's not even like turning, even just this little turn of the head here is massive. All right, keep going, Swing.
So let me explain what I mean real quick. So people online tend to call things bad, but they're almost always oversimplifying.
True.
So I want to go into what makes class good.
Bigger numbers.
How to identify what makes that class good.
The number is bigger.
And then go over something that is actually bad.
Like a small number.
So, let's go ahead. What makes something
Sorry,
good?
I'll stop.
And is it what makes you the best at something?
Ooh. Okay, I already love the direction he's going with this. I'm loving this, because being the best at something, but not the best at everything else, I love that design philosophy.
You're the best at something, you are then a good class. Is that really all?
I don't know why that was so funny to me. Just into the box was so funny.
No, if fighter is the most accurate, then they are the best at being accurate, so that makes them a good class. That's a pretty easy line of logic to follow. This class is good because it does this one thing better than everybody else.
Which is why the Alchemist gets so much hate, because it does a lot of things okay, but nothing the best.
If there are other weaknesses in the class's kit.
So another actual critique I have of the production so far, Swing, if you're watching this, your content could go so hard if you just cut the dead air. If you cut the dead air between takes and just go from words to words to words to words to words to words to words. Even as an example, when I'm editing this video, I'm pausing a lot between my statements here. But as long as I've edited it correctly, it's going to come through as one through line of thought. Whereas pausing in a video, not only does it split up the thoughts that you're trying to convey, which is sort of a problem of live streaming, but not only does it split up the problems there, but it gives people a chance to pause. And this is like fucking four-dimensional YouTube chess shit. But like, if someone has a chance to pause, they have a chance to leave. It is manipulative. YouTube is inherently manipulative because you have to manipulate people to stay. It is messed up. The more pauses and breaks you have in your video, the more likely someone will leave, because that is a chance to say, I'll come back later. But I really do think if you cut out the pauses and just had the through line here, it would be beautifully presented.
A class could also just be very well-rounded.
Alchemist.
But not have one thing that is superior to everybody else.
Alchemist. Alchemist. We're talking about
And
the
so,
alchemist, right?
Defining what makes a class good is it has to be the best at something can be misleading, even though it is a very intuitive idea. Like if I made a class that was the best at rolling performance checks, that class still wouldn't be good because you're not really using performance for anything.
It all comes down to how universally you can apply that. If the class uses performance and can use it in place of athletics, acrobatics, intimidation, deception, diplomacy, attack rolls, and add their performance proficiency to their armor class, yeah, that would be an insane class. It all comes down to how universally applicable the thing you're best at is. So I think we get the gist here of Swing Ripper. Swing Ripper, I think, is very close. I think he's very close to finding his stride. I think if he can clean up his delivery, he can address the audience a bit more rather than just addressing the screen he's talking about. And can cut out the dead air, clean up the editing, maybe add in a few little jingling keys to attract the attention span that has been demolished by modern day internet. I could see Swing Ripper going to the moon. I could honestly see Swing Ripper popping off. Maybe get a little bit better of a background, which I'm not one to talk right now. Yeah, there's a lot to learn about framing and backgrounds and all of that. But even if your background's not great, that's not going to make or break everything. While they're in stream, how about we zip Time to Dice up here? Let's see. Let's watch Daredevil.
Hello all, and welcome.
I don't know much about Daredevil. I only know that he is a blind kung fu badass. That's all I know.
Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today we are celebrating the release of Daredevil Born Again by covering the Devil of Hell's Kitchen himself, Matthew Murdock. After a childhood accident left him permanently blind, Matt learned that his other senses were enhanced to make up for his lack of sight.
So this is actually a really clean intro vocally. Like, I mean, the microphone quality could use a little bit of work, but at the end of the day, that's not going to make or break a lot. I think it needs something in the background. I think it needs some kind of music, just something very low, something engaging. It doesn't have to be like Marvel music or anything, but it's very quiet. And the reason I pause all these videos at the 20 to 30 second mark, by the way, is because that is when 90% of viewers leave. I'm not making that up either. That is when I can show you on my own videos here real quick. So I got lucky here, like even here, look, like 90% down to 68%. So many people leave. Every second is a chance for someone to leave. That beginning, you have 30 seconds to retain people. And unfortunately, the slower it is, like I'm guessing this one has really bad drop off. Yeah, the slower your intro, the less impactful your intro, the more people are going to leave in those first 30 seconds. So that's why I'm very harsh on intros, because a lot of the YouTube game comes down to how strong your intro is. And this intro is not weak. If it had some music underneath it to engage me and pull me in a little bit more, that would be great. You know, the intro has some good movement here. It's got some good movement overall. I like this little clean text on the screen. The transition's fine. That could use like a little blur there. And harsh cuts are really, really hard. You want to use harsh cuts sparingly, since harsh cuts can be very abrasive to the eyes. And again, when I say a lot of this stuff, I don't even mean consciously. People will look at that and it will just be jarring, whereas people want to be very comfortable in their viewing experience. So a slow dissolve or a transition. It doesn't even have to be a blur. A transition, a slide, a wipe, something to just keep the audience engaged rather than flashbanging them with a new scene.
He was then adopted by Stick, who trained him to harness his newly heightened senses to become the member of the Chaste, an order of elite warriors who fought against the criminals of the hand. Unfortunately, Matt didn't take to being a child soldier.
The low frame rate's a little hard to watch. I'm guessing, yeah, like you got your footage from someone, you cited your footage, which is great. It's a little bit chunky, which is, again, makes it hard, a little disorienting to watch at that low frame rate. So this has stopped me on a lot of occasions as well, where sometimes it's just really hard to find good footage.
So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So,
again, really clean narrative intro. Narratively, phenomenal. Easy to follow, explain the character, concise, that clean 45 seconds of here's the character, here's how he was brought up, here's what he is now. Boom. Love that. Phenomenal.
What do we need to make the Scarlet Avenger?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Like this is really hard to watch.
Chase down foes, leap across rooftops, and most importantly, tap into the limitless.
This is something that only I'm going to notice because I spend so many hours of my day, at least I used to and will be again soon, editing videos. Make sure these are aligned. Having these off a little bit is something that I notice, and that just makes me upset. And nobody else in the world is going to care except for me and other video editors. But I care, damn it. Hey, Time to Dice, the fact that you're improving is everything. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. That's what it all comes down to. Don't do what I did. I got complacent. If you look at my 2022 content, it was the same video 100 times. I stopped improving. I started editing less. I started adding less jokes, doing less gags, having less fun. Always be improving. And it's all practice as well. It's all practice. You get better and better. These mistakes, I wanna be the first to push forward. Mistakes are fine. They're gonna happen. You don't learn without making mistakes. Do you know how many videos I've uploaded where a cut was wrong? I've uploaded videos where there was 10 seconds of a black screen because somehow in my editing, the video got cut out. Trust me, it's embarrassing, and it will happen again.
Standard 8 hit points, medium size, 25-foot movement speed, and boosted dexterity and intelligence.
Love this.
But for our heritage, we're shaking things.
That is such a clean display of what the ancestry does. This is beautiful. Again, the background footage could use some smoothing out if possible, but this, so understandable, so easy to read as it's displayed as you're talking about it. Fantastic.
Up with the Beastkin heritage. Now,
oh?
Do I have any lore justification for this? Absolutely not.
Okay. 10 out of 10. Best part of the video so far. No doubt. I love that. Holy.
For our background, we have a slam dunk choice selection with Barrister, representing our lawyer persona and giving us a boost to dexterity and intelligence, training in diplomacy and legal lore, and the group impression skill feat to convince an entire jury that Frank Castle isn't a cold-blooded murderer. Investigator is one of the few classes that gets legendary perception.
Really?
Making it a perfect fit for blending.
I guess he does use light weapons, huh? He used the 2 batons.
Sharp legal mind. As an investigator, we start with 8 hit points per level and expert perception. Deception to protect our secret identity. Intimidation. Because
yeah, so definitely be a little bit careful about text. Text, and don't trust me, text is a nightmare. Putting text in a video is not as easy as putting it on like an image in GIMP or Photoshop. It is a nightmare to work with. It uses different parameters. If you're adding any kind of keyframing, it's a nightmare. It's so to make it look good is tough. I will say again, watch the spacing and make sure stuff like commas and whatnot are not missed, because that does stick out like a sore thumb.
Occultism to handle the hand's mystical nonsense.
But I love the explanation for every skill. I love that you're explaining every single skill and why you took it. That is fantastic. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think I get the gist of the video. It's going to go over the investigator. It's going to go over all the feats you take. Going to go over all the subclasses and whatnot. That's cool. Yeah. I'm curious about what this GM course section is.
Meaning we don't take the usual penalties for being blinded. That means terrain isn't automatically difficult for us, but we still automatically critically fail perception checks that require sight. The GM core also suggests giving these characters the blind fight feat in order to mitigate these penalties further, but we can't rely on that. So we need to pick up some other precise senses as soon as possible.
That's awesome. The fact that you go out of your way to not just describe the class, but also describe things that Paizo has included that is relevant to the character you're trying to make, that is so above and beyond. That is, you didn't have to leave that in. You know, you didn't have to add that extra thing in. You could have just kept going. But the fact that you explain that, I can already tell this video is loaded with information and research. It shows all of the extra explanations next to everything. I think that visually, this video is great. Like, the way it's laid out in all of the boxes, I think it's satisfying to the eyes, it's easy to read, it's not overwhelming. I think if you can get the background to be smoother, and make sure that all of your text is lined up and not any missing grammar or anything like that, you've got something here. I think you really do have something here. It just needs some cleaning up. That's all. Yeah, I think this can only improve as you keep doing it. Hell yeah, Time to Dice. So BadLuckGamer is our next up here, and he hasn't made a PF2 video in about 2 months, but from what I've heard, he has a kid now. So like, busy. Let's check out his RuneSmith video just a little bit. He's done covering some other stuff now, but I'm sure he'll be back to Pathfinder soon.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm the BadLuckGamer, and today we're going to be covering the other class that came out in the Impossible playtest.
BLG, I just want to say, I haven't watched your content. If you're watching this sometime in the future, I have not watched your content in about 2 years. Your delivery has improved so much. in those first 8 seconds I just watched compared to what I had seen back in the day. Holy cow, you have improved. I was immediately sucked in. There was energy, there was eye contact, there was drive and aim. That was fantastic. Let's keep it going.
The Runesmith. The Runesmith is really interesting, and it's going to offer some really cool buffing and even debuffing kind of potential. So if you're someone who likes a buffing class who is going to be really good at buffing their teammates, definitely check out the Runesmith. Oftentimes, Paizo just makes these classes really, really good. And
I have a similar critique to this so far as I did with Swing Ripper. I think BadLuckGamer has a little bit more of a natural flow, so it's not quite as noticeable. But I do still think there's some dead air you can cut. As tempting as it is to do long, uninterrupted takes to get your point across, I think there are moments where you can deliver something more clean in a second take, or split the take, pause, gather your thoughts, and then keep going. And again, the same problem I've had with a lot of these videos is nothing beyond the intro energy has really grabbed me. You know, I'm staring at just a blank page, not a blank page, but just a static page with you in the corner. I think I would have rather you started maybe full screen front and center talking to me. And then especially with your green screen, you can do so much with a green screen. You can play with how big you are, what position you're in, and you can do all of that as you're talking. And just starting big, talking for a while until you get to the main point, and then when you start talking about the class, you can shrink yourself to the corner. That can do a lot. Though that would involve you recording yourself separately with a green screen, and I just now had the thought that you might be recording with a green screen inside OBS. At which point I would say, if it's within the means, maybe record them separately. It's a lot more effort in editing, but it definitely pays off when you can move yourself around, make yourself bigger, smaller, do whatever to just draw that eye and keep that attention.
But let's talk about the Runesmith. So, another intelligence-based class. This is interesting, to say the least. The Necromancer, I can kind of see, but
I'm starting to realize this is probably one long unbroken video, I'm thinking. Am I right in thinking that?
it's not tied to any core stats used in combat, really. Now, of course, you can use it for, like, recall knowledge, but technically you can use wisdom for recall knowledge. So it's not necessarily in a potent stat, in fact, you use a lot of skill proficiencies, at least early in the game. But if it was wisdom, for instance, then it could have better will saves. And it could be charisma, and I can definitely see that being more artistic. Maybe, you know, change it to charisma, I think that'd be really cool, especially because we really don't have a lot of martials that are charisma-based, which I think is really, really a big point. So who knows if it'll stay intelligent or not, and if it's
So it's tough. I have two conflicting ideas right now with this content, and that is, one, I respect the rambles. I feel like BadLuckGamer is very similar in his presentation as I Am Live, which makes sense. It's recorded and not edited. But the problem with that in video format, at least in my opinion, is it's very easy to not follow and sort of lose sight of where things are going. You know, like the focusing for a full minute and a half on it being an intelligence attribute, it can be a positive or a negative for a lot of viewers. And I think a lot of people are just looking to get in and get the information. So it's tough because I don't want to say, oh, don't talk about it, because I think that's very interesting. I like the idea of discussing the merits of more or less intelligence classes compared to a charisma martial. Yeah. I think part of the issue is it takes a little bit too long. And I think that's what we're going to see over a lot of these videos, because it's a very easy mistake to make in modern YouTube is fast-paced. Modern internet is fast-paced. You need to go, go, go. Otherwise, people are going to leave. And I think the tough part is we are... I mean, it is a deep dive video. It is a 40-minute long video about the Runesmith. So I'm sure, like, that was his design going into it. Like I said, these critiques are not sent to be like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is just one creator's take. Feel free to throw my critiques into the garbage if they don't vibe with you. I'm just going with what I know. It's tough, because it does come across as a bit rambly, but I don't mean that in an inherently negative sense, if that makes sense.
So I love how they worked with the runes, because each of these runes are essentially recipes that you can know.
So, like, again, I like it in that this is almost a video of, like, your friend is excited for the new Pathfinder class and wants to explain it to you. I think that is really cool. It is very different compared to other existing class guides out there, which, granted, this is for a playtest. Here's the thing. Editing is so hard. Even when it's not hard, it's time-consuming. Let me tell you, taking this 40 minutes of raw footage, and if he edited it down into, 25, 30 minutes with editing, splashes of zooms and transitions and whatnot, that would still take another 3 hours. Minimum. Even more when learning the software. That is such a massive barrier to entry for things like this, is learning editing software. It's not like anyone can just pick up Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve and be like, oh yeah, just cut it, forehead. So I think BadLuckGamer could benefit from some editing, but it is a lot to learn. But I think his presentation is great. He's very confident in what he says. He's pretty easy to follow, except for the occasional tangent from what I've seen. I'd be curious to watch the whole video if I had the time, just to analyze it further, because it's a very unique type of content. You know what it is? It's a very 2010 kind of content. This is very 2010 of, here is the book, I'm going to read it and tell you what I think. And I guess the only reason I'm hammering so hard into the, like, cut out the dead air, it's a little too slow, you need to catch me, is just because of modern YouTube. And I will be the first to say that if you don't care about the algorithm and just want to make the content you want to make, go for it. Do it. Playing to the algorithm is always helpful. At the same time, you should never let the algorithm dictate your content. You should strive to make your content fit into the algorithm, but don't make content for the algorithm. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Am I making any sense to people, or am I just vomiting words out and hoping they're coherent? Love to see that you're still making content, BLG. I really hope the kid's doing well, and hell yeah. Hopefully we get to hang out at a con again sometime. So this was only 4 out of the 12 Pathfinder content creators that we've actually reviewed on stream. So if this video does well enough, I would love to keep making more of these. Not only did I have fun doing it, I had fun recording it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this video can maybe do for some of the channels I've reviewed here today. So honestly, I'll probably make the other 2 videos regardless, because I just enjoy the process here right now, and it's great footage that I'm really enjoying working with. But please, let me know if you enjoyed this content. I love putting the spotlight on other creators when I can, so let's do it more often, alright? Don't forget to come on over to twitch.tv/Nonat1s, where if you're watching this when it came out, Nonat November is still going, and could still be going all the way to the end of the month. Remember, April 1st is the last possible day of Nonat November, as long as the timer stays above 0. Until then, thank you for all of your support so far. I'm so happy to be back making videos, even if they're not quite weekly yet. I'm working my way back up to it, and once the subathon's over, expect a lot more content. I appreciate all of you so much. Until next time, Nonat1.